Hello everybody and welcome back on Plantically. My name is Omar and today we are continuing the series on the plant phylum spotlights. Today on the epiphytes. Now, what are epiphytes? Again, it is a Greek word comprised of the two words phyte, meaning plant, and epi, meaning upon plant, which, if you might have guessed, those plants grow on top of other plants in a sort of semi semi parasitic nature. They are not parasitic in a true sense, for they do not take the nutrients of the host plant, but just sit on top of it. So it's beneficial for them, but they don't disturb the ecosystem, so to speak, of the host plant. Now, many orchids and tillandsias, among them, for example, Spanish moss, I think you heard of it, and bromeliads are epiphytes. They rely solely on water from like the moist air, like fog, for example, and rain. Thus, those plants need a lot of water intake. You most often find them in swamps, for example. Thus, Spanish moss. You might have seen it in swampy environments, for example, in Florida, or in rainforest-like environments, or cloud forests. Now, epiphytes are quite difficult in cultivation. We have orchids and such, but we must always watch out because for all those who have grown orchids at home, you know that you have the special sort of substrate for it, loose substrate, so the aerial roots can have enough airflow and not have stagnant, so there doesn't occur root rot. Water, they need a lot of water, but they must not be stagnant in it, and most importantly, they do not, they can't cope with a lot of minerals in the water, for example salts, or if the substrate is too heavily contaminated, so to speak, with nutrients. Nutrients are on the one side good, but those plants have grown in a sort of fashion where they are in a very sparse environment, and you can, with too much fertilizer, you can overdo it and kill the plant. Now, importantly, I'm kind of putting two phylums together here. On the one hand, the epiphytes, about which I've talked about now, but also lithophytes. Now, those I kind of clumped together with the epiphytes in this video, for they are essentially the same. The one thing that difference those two is that the lithophytes don't grow on other plants, but like the name litho, for example, also the lithops plants. Litho means rock or stone, and thus they don't grow on plants but on rocks, and it's essentially the same. The epiphytes don't take nutrients from it, they just sit on it. The lithophytes don't only sit on rocks, so it's kind of the same. But they also be found in the same sort of environment, very moist environment, but with not of stagnant water on top of those spots. A lot of carnivorous plants are lithophytes, for example Nepenthes and and Helianthora are lithophytes. Now, um, what in my research I've come up with something very interesting, or at least I found it interesting. In 1863, a British lord named Lord Alfred Tyson has composed a little poem about lithophytes. Well, something we now would call lithophytes. Back then in 1863, they wouldn't have called it that. He has, well, we assume he has seen a little flowering plant, a lithophyte, in crannies at the wishing well at Veggers Wells in East Hampshire, England. And this little plant acted as his muse, and he comprised a little poem about it, which I would like to reprise to you now in my best efforts, so please don't go after me in the comments. Flower and cranny to wall, I pluck you out of the crannies, I hold you here, root and all, in my hand, little flower, but what if I could understand what you are, root and all in all, I should know what God and man is. I like this poem very much. It's very poetic if you think that it must have been just a little petite flower he saw while strolling around there in East Hampshire. And with this little poem, I would like to uh, finish this little video about epiphytes and lithophytes. If you liked it, please give it a thumbs up and subscribe. It would mean a lot to me. And we will see each other again next Friday. So, see ya. Bye.